Some friends of mine and a comedy club that I like very much has now been targeted by the Guardian. Obviously, Comedy Unleashed, which is a fantastic club, absolutely amazing club. I've performed there a few times. I love Comedy Unleashed. It's a great club. Our red line is: are they funny? Free speech comedy clubs and the battle over onstage offence. I've got a feeling that the Guardian are going to be against Comedy Unleashed, because Comedy Unleashed will go. It's not a case of, you can go on stage and just say whatever you want. They're like, are you funny? Because like any comedy club, you're not going to deplatform a guy who, because he's offensive. Like, yeah, he's offensive, but he's also like not funny. He's a crap comedian. Like, they want good and funny people on the stage. Right, that's why. So that's why their red line is, are they funny? Which should be the metric for any comedy club. You don't want to platform like an unfunny comedian, then nobody's going to come to your club. Graham Linehan and Dapper Laughs walk into a club. It sounds like a setup to a bad joke, yet platforming comics who may cause offence is a winning formula. But can a night run by a GB News host claim to be anti-establishment? I love how the Guardian are like, GB News are part of the establishment. Like, Guardian, literally every single one of your opinions aligns with the current establishment. You're the establishment. Yeah, we love migrants, we love refugees, hate speech is bad, blah, blah. All of that's like pro-establishment views. Those are the views the establishment's pushing. Like, in fact, right now, by trying to go after, like, spicy comedy, you're pushing another establishment opinion. Like, and banning of offence and banning offensive jokes. Like, you are the Christians running around trying to round up people for questioning the Bible back in the 12 and 1300s. That's you. That's what you are. You are the establishment now. All the corporations and all that are pushing the exact same shit as you. What are you talking about? Like, GB News is the one that everyone's trying to fucking shut down, trying to say their establishment. Shut up. It's a blustery evening. Oh, fuck off. Right, this isn't a German fable. Right, you're writing a fucking article about a comedy club. It was a blustery evening in early April, and a crowd is gathered in East London's Bethnal Green to watch a comedy show. They seem like a fairly typical audience. White, but not exclusively so. Male, but not overwhelmingly. Slightly older than average, perhaps, but I still spot plenty of younger couples, and even a teenager or two. Yeah, because, oh my god, diverse. Oh. You were expecting a bunch of white teenagers, weren't you? You were expecting a bunch of netbeards with their fucking Pepe t-shirts on, Dorito handprints on their fucking shirt. That's what you were expecting, wasn't it? Were you shocked that the average, a wide range of people like fucking edgy comedy? Were you shocked? Were you shocked, Rachel? Did that surprise you? You know, the things you learn when you fucking go outside and touch grass. But don't be fooled. This is not your run-of-the-mill comedy night. I mean, 10 years ago it was. 10 years ago it was. Like, it was literally no different to any other comedy club. Like, essentially right now it is a run-of-the-mill comedy club. It is. You're just an idiot. This is Comedy Unleashed, a rebellion against the safe tramline orthodoxy of the contemporary comedy circuit. The comedy circuit for a very long time was fine. But then what happened was the people who own the clubs and the promoters for the clubs remembered that 12 years ago they touched a girl up a little bit too much at the party, and they kind of realised that, oh shit, I need some social public virtue clout, just in case that skeleton comes bursting out my closet. So racism's bad, by the way. Ignore all of the jokes that I made before 2012, like those types. Yeah, so that's why all the comedy clubs got, essentially. And why we have to make a... 10 years ago, we would have been fine. We would have been completely fine. Like, I would never have had a problem in getting platformed. I would never have had a problem. Isaac Butterfield would never have had a problem. Everybody else, they would have never had a problem. But comedy's changed. We didn't. The clubs did. And the opinions of the people who own those clubs did. Contemporary comedy circuit, according to its website, and a haven for free-thinking comedians who leave their self-censorship button at the door. Notably, that includes cancelled figures who have faced censure for their comic material or social media posts. Among them, stand-up Andrew Lawrence. I've actually done a show with him as well. Andrew's brilliant. And Father Ted writer Graham Linehan, both on the bill tonight, as well as Daniel O'Reilly, otherwise known as Dapper Laughs, Mary Burke, and Leo Kerr. I know Leo as well. I've done shows with Leo, I know. Comedy Unleashed is also clear about what it won't tolerate. Nodding along to sermons with wisecracks is out. Which, let's face it, is what a lot of comedy has become. It's like going on stage and just going, Tory's bad, and everyone like, oh my god, oh amazing, yeah, Tory's bad. Where's the punchline? Where's the fucking punchline? Right, that's essentially what fucking the modern comedy's become. Turn on any panel show. Any panel show, it's all left-wing comedians. Tories, yeah, the Tories fucked my wife. I watched. Right, that's all it is now. I got to a point where I didn't watch TV. I would watch the occasional panel show. I don't anymore. I don't want to watch TV where it's just everybody saying that, conservatives, right wingers, blah blah blah, are all pieces of shit. Why would I watch that? Right, and they're wondering why our ratings fell by half. Maybe because you keep attacking half the population. Maybe that's why. Say what you like about Comedy Unleashed, and as free speech advocates, I'm sure they would encourage that. But the demand is clearly there. Yes, it is. It's becoming very, very popular. Turns out, it's like drugs. When you ban them, people still want them. 5 years in, its 300-seater London gigs regularly sell out. That was me on a few occasions. You're welcome. Which has a monthly event. It has a monthly event in Leeds, which, according to co-founder Andy Shaw, is booked in for the next 2 years. And last year embarked on a UK-wide tour featuring Reginald D. Hunter, Jeff Norcott, and Tony Law. The free-thinking comedy club is cropping up across the pond too. In March, podcast megastar Joe Rogan himself, no stranger to a backlash thanks to his use of the N-word and anti-Semitic tropes. So you just had to get them in there, didn't you? Opened his comedy mothership venue in Austin, Texas, with Roseanne Barr, who was removed from her own sitcom after tweeting racist insults, and Tony Hinchcliffe, who was dropped by his agent for using racial slurs on stage in the opening lineup. I'm glad that these comedy clubs are going to become a thing, and do you know what's going to happen? They're going to become very popular. Comedy Unleashed always sells out. It always sells out. There's no comedy club out there unless it's like something like the Laugh Factory or like the Stand and shit like that. See how the big major established ones, the cream of the crop when it comes to comedy clubs, they always sell out. But no other comedy club sells out like Comedy Unleashed. They sell out every single show, every show that they run, because there is a high demand for that comedy. These clubs position themselves as a necessary corrective to an over-censorious comedy industry. Although the say what I like megastars remain Teflon coated, the likes of Ricky Gervais, Jimmy Carr, and Dave Chappelle get Netflix specials and play major venues. The reason for that is even before all this stuff kicked off, they were massive names. They had the staying power. Basically, see, when you become big enough, you get away with it, where the movie executives and Netflix executives are like, yeah, he's controversial, but dollar signs, cha-ching, we will make a lot of fucking money. So the companies that proclaim to do all the woke stuff, they're happy to let that slide if it will result in them making a lot of money. Makes you think, doesn't it? And play major venues. It is also true that the strata of stand-ups below them have had gigs cancelled for making offensive jokes. Yours truly, I've had a few cancelled. Shaw makes a point of courting comics who have been lambasted online for expressing particular views. If somebody's cancelled, we'll put them on principle and let the audience decide if they are funny or not. The way, information exchange is supposed to work, instead of the current ethos of no. You're not smart enough to decide what to think. Me, the 24-year-old left-wing student that lets other men fuck my girlfriend while I watch because we're into that polyamory shit. She's away out having an abortion right now. Me, I, with no understanding of basic economics and thinks that housing grows on trees. I will decide for you what you should think. Yes. No, you're supposed to let people decide it for themselves. If the idea doesn't work, then hey-ho, it doesn't work. Let people make their own mistakes. Show myself. I've lost my point. Lost the bit I was at now. Yeah, he says, on the morning we speak, Shaw tweets an open invitation to TikTok star No Hun, who made the news last week for repeatedly commenting that men can't get pregnant under the Instagram posts of a trans man. Welcoming cancelled comedians may be Comedy Unleashed's calling card, but is it a USP? There are other venues that are willing to host complained about stand-ups, while Linehan, whose Father Ted musical was axed as a result of his Twitter campaign against trans rights activists, has only ever gigged at Comedy Unleashed because Glenner's not a stand-up. He's a comedy writer, and he's appeared in a few things, but he's not a stand-up. He's done shows, but where he's done live events, but he's never done actual stand-up. Burke frequently appears at other clubs, and O'Reilly will next year embark on a 22-date UK tour. This autumn, Andrew Lawrence will play the Leicester Square Theatre, one of London's best-known comedy venues. Well, that's the thing, is that those are lined up. What will happen is, once it gets announced that that's happening in the area, the protesters and all those little screeching idiots online will start harassing the owners, and those shows will get shut down. We had our Scarborough event shut down the day before we were due to play it. The day before we were due to play it. We had the same thing happen with the Mines thing as well. It was a fucking nightmare. Honestly, it's such a pain in the arse. Martin Witts, the Leicester Square Theatre's artistic director, believes every comedy club should be a free speech comedy club, and that stand-up is an art that is almost impossible to police. I wouldn't say it's impossible. The government's definitely doing a very fucking good job, and then whatever slack that the government lacks on, the fucking the little lefty authoritarian groups out there, they'll pick that up, not a problem. They'll turn up and protest and assault people and throw bricks and threaten a family. You know, it was a man and a woman and a young boy were actually threatened by American Antifa because their bar hosted our after party. They were threatening the family. How nice of them. That is almost impossible to police. You can't dictate what people say on stage. Indeed, there is no way you can prepare for some things that are said on stage either. He doesn't personally endorse all the acts he hosts. Lawrence, who had gigs cancelled for racist tweets about black footballers missing penalties in the Euro 2020 final, yeah, I remember that. Has some material he finds a bit reprehensible, but Witts sees that as irrelevant. On one occasion, Witts asked a white comic to stop using the N-word. I had a quiet word and said it's upsetting people. He actually hadn't thought about that, but his only solid red line is the existence of a criminal conviction associated with the comedy itself. An example of what is French comic Dudon. We booked him. The Jewish Chronicle got involved, and it was decided that it wasn't right to book him because there are certain things which aren't acceptable. In 2009, the Leicester Square Theatre cancelled a performance by Dudon after he was fined by French authorities for making anti-Semitic remarks. He has since spent time in jail for the same offence. Hold on, what? On one occasion, Witts asked a white comic. I mean, you platformed me. You platform me, and I've got a criminal conviction over my comedy. Would Comedy Unleash stop short of hosting somebody with a similar conviction? Our red line, is it funny? Oh, wait, there was a different club. Never mind. Ignore me. Sorry, it's late. It's always late whenever I do these, because I do these at the end of the day, end of the workday, with a similar conviction. Our red line is it funny, says Shaw. What about hate speech? There's a really funny joke about hate speech. What is hate speech? It's anything we hate. It is also, though, look at Harley, it is also the law, though, Shaw sighs. If people are constantly worried about the possibility of offending a single person in an audience, they will never follow their art or be funny. No matter what you do, someone will be offended by your joke. You could go on stage and tell the most basic bitch chicken cross the road joke, and someone would be offended by it. Probably a vegan, right? There are people out there who are fun sponges, who are arseholes, who think the world revolves around them, who think that comedy and art and everything has to be done to suit their taste, that whenever they walk in a room, everyone has to adjust their behaviour to suit them. And the word for those people is cunts. They are self-obsessed, little coddled like fucking baby arseholes that never fucking grew up, and they were raised on mummy and daddy's credit card. See, anyone who does this offends me, blah, blah, I always assume you had the most privileged upbringing ever. You had the most privileged upbringing ever. You have no idea what actual hardship looks like. And I've came to that conclusion based on the fact that you think a funny man on stage saying something that upsets you is such a huge problem that you think needs to be dealt with. That's the only explanation I can think of for somebody acting like that. That's the only explanation I can think of. In some areas, this free reign seems only theoretical. I witnessed no racist remarks or Holocaust denial at the Comedy Unleashed show I saw. Must have been a night I wasn't on. That's like 60% of my material, and I've seen no reports of them. I have done it. I'll let you know right now, Rachel. I've done that on that very stage. In fact, some of them are online. Some of them I haven't uploaded. There are some events that I do where we tell people not to film, and people are like, "Oh, why is the free speech guy not allowing people to film?" And then I do the show, and they go, "Ah, that's that's why he wasn't allowing us to film." And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to get fucking arrested again. Yet there was a constant stream of jokes about transgender people, a theme seemingly also common to Rogan's comedy mothership. In its review of the opening night, The Hollywood Reporter noted that within seconds of the first comic taking the stage, a gay slur was thrown out, followed by jokes about trans people. The audience hooted, because people find those jokes funny. Sorry, you don't control what people find funny. According to Shaw in Comedy Unleashed's case, this is a result of the desire to ensure its comedians aren't frightened of dealing with difficult topics. People are talking about all sorts of subjects that are not being dealt with in comedy. Sex and gender is a good example. That's a really difficult subject, and to deal with it comedically is really important from a cultural perspective, pretty much as we've always done for a very, very long time. It is not true that such topics are verboten in the comedy world. For a start, Rachel, I'm gonna stop you right there, Rachel. It's verboten because you can be arrested for them. Graham Linehan was investigated for them. Harry the Owl has been investigated for jokes about trans people. There's been a few others as well that have had a knock at the door for jokes that they've made. And also, comedy clubs will just deplatform you. You will not get a Netflix special. You will, unless you're a massive name. You won't get a Netflix special. You won't get platformed. Comedy clubs will refuse to host you. Your shit will get, and any that do will get protested and threatened and shut down. Right, so Rachel, as someone who literally has had to deal with this many times, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You've no idea what the fuck you're talking about. There are trans comedians who routinely make jokes about sex and gender, yeah, but the reason for that is they get a pass. They get a pass because they're talking about their own experience. That's why. Like if a rape victim goes on stage and makes jokes about their own rape, of course they get a social pass. If that's how they want to deal with their own trauma, that's completely up to them. But if I then take the stage after them and make jokes about their rape, it's something I would totally do if it was funny. I would do it if it was funny. But people would then get pissed off at me because I'm then making jokes about a rape that has nothing to do with me. Same as the reason is that a black guy can go on stage and say the N-word to his heart's content, because it's more socially acceptable. That's different. However, the ambition in some quarters to avoid offence is not entirely an anti-woke fantasy. Either Ophelia Francis is the booker for 2 Northdown and 21 Soho, small London venues that often host work-in-progress shows and up-and-coming comedians. While she has no written policy or officially banned language, if she can see the potential of anyone saying anything on our stage in front of our logo that could hurt or offend just one single person, then it's not worth it for us at all. Those who perform on our stage, I trust, wouldn't be using language to offend. You are too trusting. You're far too trusting. Also sounds like your shows are very boring. Recently, Francis was offered a gig by a very big name, which would have sold out and made us money, but the profit is not worth it if people who we work with are hurting from words they've said. Yeah, I'd fire the staff. I'm sorry. If I owned a comedy club and I had people that worked in the bar that went, I don't like the jokes people are making, I'd be like, well, then don't work here. Don't work here. What else do you want me to do? Do you want me to sacrifice the future of my comedy club and put restrictions on this art form? It's like I can't get another comedy club. I can't get new clients. I can hire another fucking bartender in 2 seconds. I'll fucking hang a note outside right now and I'll have 10 people in 20 minutes. That'll be unskilled labour. You're replaceable. My club and its reputation are not. Fucking shut up. It's an approach that Shaw argues is representative of the whole of the mainstream comedy industry. I mean, in the last 10 years, yeah. 10 years ago, it was not. That's a thing that came in. All the people who have influence in the industry, the TV commissioners and the comedy critics and the people who run it, are not taking risks. They're worried about an adverse reaction and instantly respond to it, rather than being a bit more grown up and saying, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's up to you. Go and watch something else. That's the reasonable position. That is the reasonable position. The reality is more complicated. No, it's not. No, it's not. Go watch something else. Do you not like it? Go watch something else. There are shit tons of TV shows and movies that I don't like. There's tons of comedians and jokes that I don't like. Do you know what I do? I don't say, no, these things are not allowed. I just don't watch them. I don't consume media that I don't like. I don't instead create rules that all media should be reworked and reimagined, George Lucas style, to fit with my sensibilities and my tastes. Anyone who thinks like that is the ultimate narcissist. Imagine who goes around thinking that. All things should cater to me. The world is all about me. All lights on me, baby. Oh, I would want to elbow drop anyone that acted like that. And I do. But as an outsider, it is impossible to judge the industry by what never reaches our screens, but it is possible to argue that the world of TV comedy still considers offence to be an occupational hazard. It very much still does. After his joke about Roma people and the Holocaust caused mass outrage online in 2022, Jimmy Carr was backed by Channel 4, which announced another series of his game show. Chief Content Officer Ian Katz commenting, "I defend the rights of comedians to make offensive jokes, and if they can't, then comedy is dead." And that's true. That's literally the point of comedy, the point and purpose of comedy. You can joke about literally fucking anything. Don't like it, then turn the fucking TV off.